Welcome to my review of the LEGO Star Wars Summer 2025 Jango Fett's Starship, or Slave 1. It's set 75433 with 707 pieces for $70. Off the bat, that's 10 cents per piece, which a lot of people would look at as a great value. However, I think there's more to it than that, so we'll discuss a lot of that in this review. And considering the last playset version of this ship was $50, I'm questioning the $70 price here. It does include 3 minifigs, though, so we'll get into those as well. But the box art shows the Slave 1 flying away from Geonosis in the asteroids. Looks really cool. The back of the box may be even cooler though, showing the Slave 1 landed on Camino with the included cart that doubles as a display stand. I do have a couple of interesting notes or nitpicks about the box. The 332nd Trooper on the bottom left with the orange stripe, that is specifically for the Clone Wars. This obviously is going to be an Attack of the Clones set, and so they have used the wrong box art stripe and character. This set's box key art should obviously match Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter, and I don't want to sound over dramatic, but you had one job. How did you mess this up? Something cool they did with this, though, given Jango Fett's Slave 1 is coming out 3 years after Obi-Wan's Starfighter, the set numbers match up, except Jango's is 100 more. So 75333 and 75433, it feels very intentional to me. I suppose there's a 1% chance it wasn't, but it feels purposeful to me. Now, cutting into the box and pulling out its contents, you're going to find a small sticker sheet, so not too bad there. You've got a very standard LEGO instruction manual, and then bags numbered 1 through 6. Moving into the minifigs here, we've got 3, which feels like the right number, and broadly, we've got one great minifig, one good minifig, and one horrible minifig, which all averages together to mean this set has good minifigs, I guess. Keying in on the main character with Jango Fett, you've got a good minifig. However, you got to know that 3 months before this set, they came out the UCS version of Jango Fett's Slave 1, and in that set, the Jango Fett had arm printing. This figure is otherwise exactly the same, but of course, the arm printing elevates the figure, makes it look way better for the more expensive set, and this cheaper set doesn't get that same treatment. It can certainly be argued that LEGO should have exclusive figures in UCS sets, and I would argue for that, but I can also very validly see the point that LEGO should be providing their best possible figures at all price levels, as their slogan is, of course, only the best is good enough. And this, therefore, is not the best, and therefore it's not good enough probably for a lot of fans. Will people still enjoy this Jango Fett at a cheaper price point? Absolutely, you should. It's a really good looking minifig. It's just not the best they can do, and for the sake of conversation, in the last Slave 1 playset that was $20 cheaper than this one, both of the minifigs had arm printing, so why wouldn't this one get arm printing? You know, it's very interesting how all of this is working behind the scenes for LEGO Star Wars, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. The Jango Fett figure still looks, again, very good here. He does include the jetpack. He's got that brand new rangefinder, which looks amazing. I think that's one of the best little accessories that LEGO has released for minifigs, maybe since the 2007 Blaster update. I think it's a crazy good piece, and then you've also got the hairpiece included for Jango, so you can take his helmet off and have him with his hair, so it's really nice. It's a nearly complete UCS level Jango Fett. I think a lot of people will find it feels a little incomplete without arm printing, and I think given the price of the set feeling overpriced at $70, you would want it. On top of the missing arm printing, which you may feel strongly about, the headset still isn't here as a print on the face. Like, that should have been in the UCS set too. I don't know why they didn't include that level of detail that we saw even in Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighter at $30 or in the original 2002 Jango Fett's Slave 1. I still think it's a really nice looking fig, but I can see why people might want arm printing here. It would definitely be better. Next, we have young Boba Fett, who is exactly the same as the UCS set, and I'll just say what I said there. And I think this one is so bad that it's in contention for worst LEGO Star Wars minifig of the decade. LEGO's ability to mess up a clone trooper seemingly knows no bounds. And before I even go into detail on why, you should know that the actor that played young Boba Fett, Daniel Logan, reposted an Instagram post talking about how bad this minifig is. When's the last time you saw an actor say their own minifig was bad? I don't think I've ever seen that, so if you don't believe me, maybe you'll believe Daniel Logan. But starting with the hairpiece, I think it's pretty clearly a horrible choice for him, so much so that a lot of people say it looks like he's going through his emo phase or his My Chemical Romance phase. It just doesn't look like young Boba Fett at all. They had a much better hairpiece for him in the past. I'm sure they could have reused that or found a better one than this. Now, some people say this piece better represents his hair when it's wet on Camino, and I guess you could make that argument if they had included his poncho that he has when his hair is wet. I really don't like his happy face look. It doesn't even really look like young Boba, in my opinion. The more disgruntled face he has on the other side, I think, is better. Now, his skin tone is updated, so it's darker than the previous versions. Obviously, the 2002 one being yellow, a bit of an exception there. But I don't know if I truly find this skin tone to be a better match to young Boba. I think the real logic is that it's the clone trooper skin tone that they've been using, so they have to use it here. The arm color is another thing they changed up here, and the only way I can reason through it is that they were trying to match Jango Fett's arm color, because their like undersuits should technically be the same color, but young Boba already had the correct arm color with the darker blue. Jango was always the one who had the wrong undersuit color, which most people are okay with because it looks good, it's fine, whatever. But changing young Boba's undersuit to match match Jango just looks silly in my opinion. Stacking on top of that, they've changed the torso and leg color to a lighter blue than the 2017 and 2002 versions. I never realized how like deep blue the 2013 version was because I never had it in hand until now, but we'll ignore that version. It's also not that good. But I really can't believe the color choices here. When you look at it side by side, it is clearly wrong. Another thing that's clearly wrong is the belt. If you look on the right, you'll see Obi-Wan's Jedi robes. Those are brown. Boba's belt clearly is the same color as his arms. So I don't even understand how brown was an option. Getting down to the legs, I can't believe they didn't give him dual molded legs to have his boots represented like he has in episode 2, or maybe at the very least a little footprinting of black, but realistically he should just have dual molded legs because that would be more accurate and better looking. And you know what? This figure's so bad that I am really gonna nitpick here. The folds of his clothing are now the wrong direction. Back in 2017, you can see the lines on his torso are generally vertical, which matches what you see in the movie, and now they are more horizontal, which doesn't match what you see in the movie. Like, I can recognize how much of a nitpick that is, but at the same time, we had it right. Why is it now wrong? It's that level of LEGO Star Wars minifig design that I do not comprehend when you're saying stuff like this.
No detail is left unturned. Every little garment and weapon and accessory is has to be perfect.
Now, while those first two minifigs might not be perfect, Lama Su is an amazing third minifig for this set, and really might be the reason a lot of people want to go out and buy it. I guess on top of, even though Jango Fett doesn't have arm printing, you're going to want a Jango Fett regardless if you don't have one, but the Lama Su really is the character to talk about in this set. What a great head mold for this Kaminoan, right? They basically took what they did with Tanwi, modified it to be very specific to Lama Su, instead of reusing that piece too. Like, part of me feared that if they did more Kaminoans like this, they would just reuse that same headpiece, but no, they made a unique headpiece that's amazing. That's what they should do. It's what they usually do. But the fear is always there that they would go cheap and lazy for a prequel set, but certainly I applaud that they didn't. What an amazing headpiece. Looks great. The torso printing's really good. The leg printing, I think, is where you might see a bit of an issue with the faded white on black. It's not as noticeable as you are going to see on other characters. My best example is Dedra, and the reason I think the faded white is so noticeable there is because it's touching white brick. Meanwhile, on Tanwi, the white print doesn't immediately connect to white brick to show that disparity in color, so I think it's a lot less noticeable here, which is nice. It just blocks up that way. I mean, great design work on this one overall. It's really such a great minifig, and I'm so glad that they've included it as a third minifig here. It kind of feels like the trade-off for Jango Fett not having arm printing, because the $300 UCS set didn't get the Kaminoan, so now if you already own the $300 UCS Jango Slave 1, you have to buy the smaller set as well to get this figure. So I feel like when you look at it more broadly here, it's clearly the strategy to get someone that already spent $300 to spend another $70, and if you weren't going to spend $300, you'll still be happy buying the $70 set because you're going to get the characters, you're just not getting the arm printing, which someone that might be more casual won't care about. I feel like that's the strategy going on here. But anyway, that's the minifig selection. Like I said up front, overall, as an average, it's good, but it definitely has great, good, and bad all mixed in here. So at long last, we have a new version of Jango Fett's Slave 1 as a playset. Earlier in 2025, we got the UCS version, which was really the first version since 2002, and we're getting this in the same year, which is insane that we're getting to in the same year. But yeah, an updated playset I always kind of wished would have been as big as we saw in 2002 or what we saw in 2019. But realistically, I knew once they came out with this version in 2021, if we were to ever see a Jango Slave 1 playset again, if we were ever so fortunate, it would end up being the same size. So my expectations were here, so I'm not necessarily disappointed that it is as small as it is, and I hate saying this, but the size I think is fine. It works, and there are a lot of small improvements over this model from 2021 that you'll notice throughout. I'm not going to go super in depth on every little change. I'm going to do a comparison video of these separately, but one of the biggest things you'll notice is the giant gap for the windscreen here that has been almost completely eliminated for the newer version. And so you'll see a lot of small things like that that I feel like have been improved upon with this newer Slave 1 playset, just with a recolor into Jango Fett here. Like, oh, it looks magnificent. Diving deeper in detail on the Jango build, though, I'll start with what I think is my least favorite aspect of it, and that's the stud shooters just plopped on where the main blasters usually are, and yeah, it definitely detracts from the look. They, of course, make a really good play feature, though, where you just push down on them and they will shoot off, and they shoot pretty well, maybe about 10 feet. I just wish we had the better looking blasters like the Boba Fett version. I guess the trade-off there, though, is the stud shooter here is removed, and now you have a much more clean looking side to the Jango Fett Slave 1. So if you ignore what's up here, the rest of it's rather clean because of the removal of the stud shooter there. The coloring detail up here is really nice, mixing in some sand green, some darker green, little gray, little yellow, little white. Really would have liked to see a small yellow sticker, maybe I think somewhere about here. Could have helped just make it that extra bit accurate, but really for this scale, it's good enough. And then you've got a sticker up at the top here that adds some more dark green, and then the yellow sticker with what looks like maybe some dots in the middle or bolts or whatever. But I think that looks really great, especially for the scale. They've done a good job getting it as accurate as possible in this section. Looking at it from a bit of a lower angle, you can see the silhouette is still really good despite the downscaled nature of this build. Like, they really got the shape down pat. Like, even the slight angle of this kind of nose area is there, and that's crazy to me, especially for this scale. Now, it does have a little bit of give to it because of the way that it's attached to obtain the angle, but I think that's totally worth it, and it's still more than strong enough to lift and play with the model. Plus, there's the included carrying handle, but either way, you'll be safe playing with this one. And on that lower front section of the Slave 1 here, you've got more great coloring, a little sand green, a little yellow, and dark blue, all perfectly mixed in with the gray stripe running up the middle here, and it just looks so good. Like, even though it's a small build, these pieces really do accurately represent the shape of the Slave 1. And again, just a small comparison, it feels like slightly improved from what we saw just a few years ago, so it's really cool to see. Like, I thought they could just do a straight recolor of 2021, but they have really improved the model in a lot of little ways that you don't notice at first when you look at it. But this set has over 100 more pieces than that previous set, some of it going to the cart, but a lot of them are going to end up in this Slave 1, and you can really see it if you look close enough for it. Now, in your Boba Fett versions of the Slave 1, this is where you would slide or clip in your character in carbonite, but given Jango Fett Slave 1 has seismic charges, that is what you're going to find here. So you just lift this little loading ramp up or whatever. You've got a pair of seismic charges included, and I do wish they had printed something on them to add more detail onto this headpiece. Like, definitely would have been nice for $70, but I do think these are passable. They are good enough. You can drop them in there, load them up just like that. I will say it can be a bit tight with two in there. Sometimes it's not going to close perfectly, so got to kind of move it around. There we go. And then when you want to shoot the seismic charges off, you see this piece here is just a little bit loose. And so it is going to provide the push that you need. So just to show the function really close here, you push this and it will make that door at the bottom drop out. With Obi-Wan Starfighter in pursuit, this is basically how it would play out. You do have to tilt the Slave 1 slightly back to get them both to drop out, but I'm really surprised they were able to get this feature into such a small build. Really great work. Love it as a play feature, and obviously something that's accurate to what we saw in the movie. Looking a little higher up on the Slave 1, we've got the white wing, very nicely designed. You've also got the gray arm that's going to hold it in. Very sturdy build as well, just not going to snap off when you hit it on something. Great to see. Now, I thought this thing wasn't just freely rotating when you moved it into flight mode, but it turns out it does. It just takes some time for it to slowly droop down. It's a very slow effect there, but it is getting there. Going to get to its horizontal position or pretty close to it, and then you may have to just physically move it the rest of the way. But you can move them pretty easily. Just, I'm very used to them moving much faster. So let's put it back into a landing position. It's not going to go on its own because it's too vertical there. So drop it down, it will go, I guess, but not quite as good as I expected there, I would say. This armored area and the whole area around the top of the cockpit really is so good on this set. It's another area that I think has been massively upgraded from 2021 in a lot of subtle ways that you don't notice at first. Like, you look at this and you think it's the exact same. It's really not. Side by side, there you go. It's undeniable that 2025 has seen some improvements in a lot of little ways, but I think it has really added up. That finally brings us to the cockpit, where I'll tell you what, I was shocked. First off, basically no gaps. It is almost airtight. It's so much better than what we had seen in the previous scale version of this Slave 1. So I really appreciate that off the bat. But then if you lift this up, let's see, got a good grip there. You may notice the interior feels a bit deeper than it was before. Now, it's got a couple red lights there, but certainly no control panels or anything. Like, it's devoid of a lot of detail that you would see on a larger Slave 1, which sucks, but it can actually hold two figs. It's crazy. Taking the young Boba Fett first, it kind of feels like you're laying him into a coffin, but he just slides right in there. He doesn't connect to anything. He doesn't hold on to anything, but he is held in place by the fact that Jango Fett is going to attach in front of him. Well, maybe you don't want to do it that way, actually. Now it makes a lot more sense why there were 4 studs there, because Jango actually has to be seated so young Boba can see over him. But I was shocked that you were able to fit 2 minifigs inside of this cockpit. Again, at such a small scale, they were able to pack a lot inside of this thing. So we'll be able to close this up with the minifigs in there, no problem. And it makes me wish even more, of course, that he had his pilot-specific face. But, you know, what do you expect for $70? And again, even though young Boba isn't attached to anything, shake it around, twist it upside down, he's not going anywhere. That finally brings us to the back of the Slave One. And again, for such a small scale, the engines feel fairly detailed. You've got nice yellow color on the back, some brown around the circular ones here. And then on the UCS Slave One, they had a very similar detail here where it looked like an actual tongue to make a face on the Slave One. But that's an actual accurate detail to Jango Fett's Slave One in universe to have that dark red there. So seeing that repeated again on the smaller Slave One just makes me happy. It's nice to see that attention to detail is there. But otherwise, a lot of the pieces on the bottom here are kind of also acting as landing gear. They are going to be your points of contact onto your table or your landing pad, whatever it may be. So that's what a lot of these are actually good for. You know, also some good decor, I guess. The other important thing on the back, though, is going to be the carrying handle. They had this on the 2019 Boba Fett Slave One, and then they brought it on the 2021 version basically just because they could, not because this set needs a carrying handle. It is plenty small enough to be held, and strong enough, certainly, to be held from anywhere and not break, even this wing. So, like, you are not going to have trouble with this set. You can hold it here, which is what I consider to be, like, the natural place to hold it, I guess, or if you got big enough hands, just palm it from behind. But really, the carrying handle, again, just added value or an added feature, and really more of a thing that's just because they could. I'm surprised this fits, given they needed a little extra depth to fit young Boba at the top, but fitting the carrying handle feature in with everything else this set does is just kind of a show of strength of what some of the designers can do. Like, this is really good stuff. So I'm pretty sure I said it in my 2021 review, but this is totally unnecessary, but it is just really cool that they did it anyway. Finally, we have our maintenance cart, which will end up doubling as a display stand here in a second, but you can take Lama Su and have him drive it around, which is cool. And then on the backside, you've got a little crate, so we'll open the crate up. Inside, there's nothing. Unfortunately, the jetpack not going to fit. The helmet not going to fit. And let's see, do the blasters even fit? The blasters don't even fit? Are you kidding me? Well, that's no good. What is the crate even for? Oh, maybe his hair, I guess? Nope, the hair doesn't even fit. What is the point of the crate if you literally can't put anything? I guess the antenna, but why would you take the antenna off of the helmet? Like, that's kind of pointless, but there is a crate that can hold the antenna. None of the other stuff, though. That's pretty wild. Not what I was expecting to find out there. But as a maintenance cart, it looks cool enough. You can see inverted tiles on the bottom, going to help it slide along a smooth surface. And then the real killer feature on this thing is the fact that it can raise up. I guess the reason they didn't put a bigger crate here is it probably would run into the back of Lama Su when you lifted that up. So I guess that's the rationale. But anyway, you lift this up, bring over the Slave One. These white pieces are basically going to act like teeth. You'll drop the very front on there, and then these go around this tile on the back. And you can see it kind of locked into position here. And because of the design of this, it can't just slide off. That was kind of an issue with the 2021 version, but this is a much stronger connection, even though, you know, it just comes right off. But it stops like it going from side to side and sliding off. But having some sort of display stand included in a set like this is so amazing to me. I wish they did this more with Lego Star Wars because it makes displaying a set so easy. And this isn't even a set that I would say needs a display stand, really. Like, it looks real cool when it's in its landed position too. So you do get the best of both worlds, where you can't have it flying or you can't have it landed. You just gotta love that on this Slave One. Overall, it's clearly a really great small model. It is no UCS Slave One, which I'll have a comparison of on my channel, of course. That's why I didn't really reference it a lot in this video. But if you're looking for a Jango Fett Slave One that's going to fit on your shelf, maybe fit your budget, or you just prefer the smaller builds for whatever reason, this is going to be it. If you wanted it to scale well with the Obi-Wan Starfighter, like minifig scale, of course you're gonna want to jump for that UCS one. But this one, I think, fills the void for many people. You know, maybe not the arm printing on Jango Fett, but also getting that Lama Su is incredible in this set as well. Like, there's pros and cons. I think $70 is still going to be too much money for this, though. I don't think it's a horrible value at $70, but I still think waiting for it to go on sale, getting this thing for under $60, somewhere around $55, $50, will feel fair in my opinion. Anyway, let me know what you think about this one in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, and you can check out more summer 2025 Lego Star Wars set reviews on the end screen now.